chiropracticusa.com.
Tesla's incentives have brought prices to their lowest level in 4 years, but fewer people bought the electric vehicles last year.
A fourth quarter bump could not save Tesla from its first yearly decline in sales in 9 years. Company delivered almost 500,000 vehicles in the last 3 months of the year. That brings the yearly total to 1.79 million, a 1.1% drop from 2023. Tesla says it will announce quarterly earnings January 29th.
ABC's Brian Clark. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is out of the hospital following surgery earlier this week to have his prostate removed. New data on which airlines and airports had the best performance in 2024.
Delta is taking the crown as the most on-time U.S. airline in 2024. According to aviation analytics companies Syria, United, and Alaska follow. 83% of Delta's flights were on time last year. United and 79% for Alaska. Aeromexico was the most on-time airline in the world.
Salt Lake City had the most on-time U.S. airport flights, followed by Minneapolis and Washington Dulles. Agnes Coletti, a Holocaust survivor and the oldest living Olympic medal winner, has died after losing her father and several relatives during the Holocaust. She won 10 Olympic medals in gymnastics, including 5 golds for Hungary at the 1952 Helsinki Games and in 1956 in Melbourne. Agnes Coletti was 103 years old. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Theolite with your KVNU News Update. The news this hour brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Well, a new bill being introduced in the Utah State Legislature would seek to offer unsheltered people more legal protection. Grant Miller, who was just elected to the State House representing a portion of Salt Lake City, has filed what is being called a homeless Bill of Rights. Now, Representative-elect Miller said that those specific rights include the right to be safe in your own property and affects the right to have your own personal information protected. Now, along with that would be the right to vote and the right to register to vote, even though you don't have an address, and the right to legal or equal access to public spaces, and the right to be free from discrimination from government entities, and the right to be free from discrimination from employment for not having a physical address. Now, the bill is modeled after similar legislation that has been passed in other states, he said. It's not a free pass to abuse public spaces or commit crimes, the Democratic lawmaker insisted, but it bolsters rights people would have already if they had a physical address. Now, Wendy Garvin, who is the executive director for the homeless resource group known as Unsheltered Utah, said she likes the concept of Representative-elect Miller's bill. Well, coming up, more Americans are setting goals when it comes to their mental health as we head into the new year. That story on the way next as we check your weather on the 6s. Some sunshine this afternoon and some warm temperatures. We've been in the high 40s today, and tomorrow it's supposed to be back into the high 40s, with clouds continuing through the rest of the afternoon and overnight as temperatures will drop into the mid-20s. Tomorrow we'll be back into the mid to high 40s before a chance of rain and snow comes in for the weekend and the first of next week, and temperatures are going to settle back into the mid to low 30s. Well, with the start of the new year, many people have set goals. The American Psychiatric Association reported that 33% of Americans are making mental health a resolution. Matthew Draper, a psychologist and clinical director out of Springville, explained that people might be tired of suffering. Utah mental health professionals explain that it's a step in the right direction as more Americans are looking to improve their overall well-being. Draper explained the definition of mental health is it's 3 things: love, work, and suffering. Now, experts say that a major part of mental health is connection. As people are looking to improve their mental health into the new year, Draper explained that sleep and exercise play significant parts. And the Hot Now sign is no longer glowing a warm red, indicating hot, fresh, original glazed donuts inside Krispy Kreme in Logan. The donut shop permanently closed its doors last week. Now, a sign posted on the door read that the shop had permanently closed and anyone wishing to visit the nearest location would have to travel down to Ogden. There are now 5 Krispy Kreme locations throughout the state of Utah, with Ogden being the closest to us. The closure was the second in just a matter of weeks for that same Logan block, as Denny's, which is located nearby, permanently closed its doors just before Christmas. Well, news brought to you by Quality First Insurance. Remember, insuring your home, your business, and your family can be tough, and that's why Matt Robbins has options for you. Call Matt Robbins at Quality First Insurance when you have questions about your insurance package, 752-0101. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Update.
Local Talk. Afternoons at 4 with For the People.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
I will be right by your side.
Women can have it all, including heart attacks. But symptoms like jaw pain, nausea, unusual fatigue, dizziness, and backache are often different and more subtle than for a man. The fact is, heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Know the signs. Learn more at getheartchecked.org. From Women's Heart Alliance, in partnership with Women Heart.
Friday edition Clay Travis Buck Sexton Show will take you into the weekend as part of the new year and get you set for the new Congress being sworn in. That is a positive sign. The drama of who Speaker of the House will be, the end effectively of Joe Biden's power in Washington, D.C. We will all celebrate January 3rd, new Congress sworn in, while we are talking to all of you on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM. KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Thursday, January 2nd, our first show in the new year. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Williams, joining me here in the studio for also our first of 2025 For the People Theater Hour. Charlie Schill here in the studio. And coming up, we'll be speaking with representatives of USU's Sorensen Center. They're teaming up with the Bear River Health Department to offer free 1-hour clinical services. This is something that comes, well-timed. Holiday anxiety, stress, even seasonal depression affects millions of people. And this is something that they're going to be offering for free. 1-hour visits with clinical professionals, and the students coming out of the Sorensen Center also get to be a part of this in many ways. So we'll have details on that coming up at the start of Hour 2 when they join us here in the studio. But again, now it is the For the People Theater Hour, first of 2025, with Charlie Schill in the studio. And Charlie, welcome.
How you doing, Jason?
I made it through all the holidays. I survived. The family and the traffic and all of that. So
we were swapping stories earlier about what party poopers we are on New Year's.
We were recalling those days when you're young and 10 feet tall and bulletproof, and if you didn't have plans on New Year's Eve, you were just distraught.
Yes.
And
our plans now are no plans.
Yeah, I was excited to find out that I had a very low-key New Year's Eve planned, and I left it that way, and I enjoyed it. And I actually fell asleep before midnight and then woke up in time to see midnight come around. and went back to sleep. Woke up early the next morning and had a nice first day of 2025. So,
well, I heard the fireworks go off at midnight and said,
yep.
"Oh boy,
that's it.
I'm going back to sleep."
Yeah, that was that's New Year's once you pass, like, say 25, 30. But
I'm way past 25 and 30. Okay.
I was thinking, though, that I knew we were going to kick off 2025 with this hour, and a fun way to kick off the new year. And I also realized that I'm excited about. We're just weeks away from some things I've been looking forward to since you first told me about them, almost a year ago, actually, on some of them. And it is we're still in that that lull that happens after Christmas when it comes to the theaters here in Cache Valley. Although that lull is not as lull-y as it used to be.
Wow. Which makes it appropriate that we, instead of looking forward again, we look back.
That's a good idea. It was a big year.
In 2023, I didn't do this, but the year before we talked about the best of the best.
Yeah.
Our little, nobody cares about it, but it's the best of the best is a salute to, local actors and singers and directors and stage technicians. And it's something we ought to do.
I think that's a good idea. That gets kind of lost in all of this, but none of this happens without them. The beautiful theaters, the crowd that comes in the summer with the summer citizens. If you don't have the talent and the crew to make to choose exciting shows, you don't have anything.
But Cache Valley is just blessed with an almost unbelievable pool of talent when it comes to these kind of things.
I'm surprised too at the number of people in that talent pool that stick around. They don't have to.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate when we lose one or more of those people.
Yeah.
Think of your buddy Levi Hopkins.
Yeah, very talented young man now in New York, I think.
Been around for years, and we miss him.
Yeah, it's you don't blame them. There's so much opportunity out there, and depending on what they want to do. But then that makes me, like I say, appreciate those who. Celeste is one I always think of. This is a person who could be doing with the talent she has now, directing talent as well. She could be anywhere in the world.
Celeste Bayo, you're talking.
Yeah, Celeste Bayo. She could be anywhere doing this, and she chooses to stay here and be a part of the entertainment here in Cache Valley, and good. But yeah, you just have to appreciate that these are people that, and to be honest, maybe they'd be making a little more money elsewhere as well. And of course,
they could be making a lot more money elsewhere. Yeah. But they stay here because they love doing community theater.
Yeah.
Okay. With no further ado. First of all, the top category is, of course, the best opera.
Ooh.
And, of course, by default, it was Gianni Schicchi and Bucci's Ghost, because that's the only opera we had this year.
Yeah. And a cool one to have. Something kind of different.
Well,
or at least out of the ordinary.
You got a combination of a modern version of an opera, built on an opera, Bucci's Ghost, and Gianni Schicchi, which is Puccini's story.
Yeah.
And this builds them together. And they were charming. They were well done. Of course, you don't lay a glove on Michael Ballin.
Yeah. That's when I saw that on the roster, my first thought was, well, that's brave. And then I remembered that it's...
Yeah, he'd done it before.
Yeah.
And he'd done it...
And they'd done it well.
Done it lots of times, so...
Yeah.
Best musical?
Ooh,
yes.
That's a tough one.
Cats.
Now, that...
The UFOMT production of
and...
Cats was just unbelievable.
Yeah. It was... It it surprised me. I'm not a fan, and I walked away from that one thinking, okay, that was pretty cool.
The stars aligned. They brought in a lot of professional dancers and singers who have done Cats before, and they made it work.
Yeah.
And even if you've been turned off by the movie, which we both were,
I think everyone was.
Yeah,
even most of the people in it.
But yeah, Cats was quite entertaining and enthralling, mesmerizing to watch.
That was a crowd pleaser.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everyone was kind of talking about that one after it came and went. That's my only complaint with Utah Festival Opera's schedule is that I think they could. I see why they don't. But I think they could do June and September, too.
They couldn't afford to keep the talent here all that time.
Yeah, Pickleville does a season, about that long, and there are reasons they're able to get away with that.
Well, the UFOMT gets their talent nationally from national searches.
Yeah.
And brings them in, and, they house them, they feed them, they take good care of their performers. But
yeah,
normally they come in about the first week in June. They premiere in July.
Yeah,
and that's it, boys and girls.
Yeah, that's the end of the season.
Yep,
and it's great on a resume, I would assume. There are a lot of reasons people would want to be involved. But it would still be a lot of work.
Oh,
just
no question about it.
Yeah.
Best comedy this year? Take a guess.
Best comedy. Ooh.
Hay Fever.
Well, Hay Fever popped up, and what was the one USU did? Early, it was one of their. What was it? I'll find it. I laugh so hard.
Yeah, Hay Fever is an old Noel Coward musical or comedy done strictly for laughs, and it was well done and had the audience rolling in the aisles.
Yeah.
If you missed that, you're sorry if you did.
And that one might be one that we wait a while to see again come through Cache Valley.
Well, you've got to have tremendous talent to do that.
Yeah.
That's
a difficult one, I think.
Everybody on the stage is a character actor.
Yeah.
And
the energy required, if you've ever seen that, to sustain that for what is basically a almost 2.5 hours, I think.
Yep.
It's but it's really fun.
Okay. Take a guess at best director or best drama.
Best drama. What was the other? UFO did another one. Hold on. See, you're running up against my memory. I'm trying to remember if was that this year?
Yeah, that's what I ran into when I decided to do this.
Because I have a list of favorite things I saw that fall into these categories, but Utah Festival Opera did one that was okay, I give up. I can't find their
Driving Miss Daisy.
Really?
The lyric, yeah.
Interesting. That surprises me.
Small cast.
That's not where I was headed.
Very intimate show. But it's a heartfelt show about race relations in the South over a period of time. Has a very touching message, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's I know that most people understand that one through the movie that was made, which is good.
Which was excellent.
Yeah, but the play has just a little bit more in it. Is the only way I can think to say it. There's a little bit more in the stage production that makes the story bigger, And yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
That wasn't on my radar for best.
Let's see if you can guess best director.
Best director. See, now I want to say Celeste because
absolutely
that would be a hard one as a first go.
First go,
Yeah.
yeah. You would think, oh well, the first time I'm directing adults in a show, let's do something small,
Yeah,
little low
easy.
cast. Boom,
Yeah.
big show,
Huge cast.
huge cast, beautifully performed.
That is now the set on that one's kind of difficult too, right?
Yeah,
from a director's standpoint.
And they were working on the stage at the Utah. So it was confined.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Celeste handled that, and we've got great directors here. Cody Rash out at Four Seasons, Stefan Espinosa, Vanessa Ballum, those kind of people. But when somebody new joins that club,
yeah,
you got to say more power to them. And Celeste just boom.
That's why I was thinking she deserves. I mean, there's some great stuff to choose from, but she deserves the best category win because of that being her first time as a director and
the only
complex
thing
production.
That's wrong with Celeste directing is it means you don't get to see her on the stage.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Which is, it's too bad because she's really fun on the stage. Whether it's a comedic role or a serious role or a villain. She's played villains before.
She's good.
You're listening to the For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill here in the studio, recapping the best of 2024, and we'll get back to it right after this.
Boy, winter is here, and so is the snow. Quickly remove snow from your driveway, sidewalks, and parking lot by calling Ed at Edson Builders. 435-232-2680. Fast, reliable snow removal services for any property, any size. And they do it with the same attention to detail as they do with building homes and businesses. They can also add salt to keep everything safe. Call 435-232-2680. Edson Builders and Snow Removal. 435-232-2680.
You've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. You have to carefully monitor your health for the rest of your life. And you have an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Cut. Take two. Action.
You've been diagnosed with a new purpose: to fight for the amazing life you made for yourself. To look that risk of heart disease square in the face and say, no, not me. You've been given a new opportunity to live. Get started at NoDiabetesByHeart.org.
25 NCAA championships, 18 conference championships,
And the Aggies are going dancing.
10 tournament championships.
The Aggies are pulling out the scissors, and they're going to cut down the nest.
Our winning culture continues. Our Utah State Aggies play here on the Aggie Sports Network.
Pre-game begins 1 hour before tip-off. Don't miss game day on your home of the Aggies. News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill. Kicking off our first show of 2025 with the Theater Hour. Fun way to do it. I would have planned it this way if I had had the option, but the calendar just kind of did it for us. So we are recapping 2024 with Charlie's best of list. And we just got to best director. Best musical still surprises me. Not that it isn't deserving to give Cats.
Of course,
Yeah.
Cats. What else? I mean, it was the blockbuster of the summer.
Yeah, it was big, and people loved it. Yep. And it, like I say, it deserved as a best award. But I would not have predicted that when we were talking about
beforehand
when they announced the shows last spring.
Yeah, we both kind of turned up our noses.
Yeah,
and that was foolish of us.
Yeah, not my favorite one, but they did it well. In fact, I would say they did it better than the way it was usually done on Broadway. I only saw it once there.
Well, I've never seen it on Broadway, but I'm sure it sure beat the movie hands down.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I really enjoy about, Music Theater West does this all the time. They will go in and they will select a show, and I will go, I really don't want to see that. And then I'll go see it, and they'll knock my socks off.
And that's a fun experience. Tarzan last year was one of those for me. Four Seasons.
Not one of my favorites. I think of Music Man and
Music Man too. Tarzan surprised me because it's really not one I enjoy. I wouldn't go so far as say I dislike it, but the story doesn't grab me. It's usually done in a way that almost becomes campy and like a comedy. And even though they're trying to be serious, and I just thought I walked away from that surprised by Four Seasons making that an actual drama that I cared about, even though I knew the story. So that one stood out to me as but that's one of my favorite experiences when you go to something that you're kind of just there because. Yeah, I've gone to shows before because someone gave me a ticket, and I don't like to waste them. But I wasn't excited. Peter Pan at Pickleville was one of those. Was not excited. It's not one of my favorites by far, and it ended up being one of the best.
You sat in the front row and got sweated on.
One of the best things I've seen in a long time, and that's a really fun experience.
Yeah,
that's
a good show too.
Yeah, I think my second favorite experience is when you go to one that you like and you've seen it done so well, and then they go
and they do it better.
Ragtime was one of those.
Oh yeah,
that was better than the first time I saw it when it was done at the Eccles, and so yeah. Anyway, where are we at in your best of list?
Best set design.
Oh, ooh,
think back. The Tempest.
The Tempest was cool. Tarzan actually is another one that pops up there. That was a cool set, the way they did the trees. The Tempest, though, was...
The Tempest was a tech tour de force.
Yeah.
I mean, you walked in, you sat down, and there was that special effect they had where the water was lapping on the edges of the stage.
Yeah. Some very cool production on that with the projectors.
And lots of people... deserve credit for that. Amy Critchfield was their tech director. Mark Halsey was their lighting designer. Audrey Curl for projection design, which was
that made
awesome.
The set. Yeah, it was really cool to see.
J.S. Peterson did the set design, and of course, Dennis Hassan built the monster Caliban,
which that was cool as well.
Yeah,
that was a little mobile table kind of rolling thing, but. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that the monster didn't, because I've seen the Tempest done, and when the monster comes out, it rips you out of the story because they go so far sometimes that you're suddenly not paying attention to the story anymore. You're focused on this cool monster they've designed. That one was different. It was when they first come out, you're sort of wowed, and you're trying to figure out how are they doing that with the six legs and the. And then you forget, and the monster just becomes another character, and that they did that really well.
When I was working at the Stratford Shakespeare Festival in Ontario, just doing stage work, our Caliban was William Shatner.
Oh, wow. See, now I would be okay being ripped out of the story for that, being distracted by Captain Kirk.
And he did the same voice that he did on Star Trek. The haunting little pauses and all that jazz.
That would actually work.
The makeup girls just plowed into that theater to listen to him speak.
That is so funny. I remember seeing it once, and they had the monster was just a guy on stilts with some... Medusa-like things hanging off of his head, and he was painted blue and shirtless, and But it was so distracting because you could tell he was new to stilts. And so I think everyone in that theater was not
waiting for him to fall on his face.
They weren't paying attention to the story anymore because everyone's watching him walk around. Oh, he's going to go, and he's going to get hurt.
Okay. Best choreography, of course, is Cats. And for that, Ballum brought in ringers. Lauren Houghton.
Oh, really?
Lauren Houghton Giles, I think her name was. Mackenzie Simmons and Katie Pulasic.
Okay.
Again, people who've done the show before.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject, let's start to get to the individual performances. Best female in a musical, tough one, but Haley Sicking, who was played Reno Sweeney in Anything Goes.
Okay.
Anything Goes was sort of written for Ethel Merman back in 1934. What Cole Porter did was package a lot of songs of his standards into that show. Ethel Merman may have sung them better than Miss Sicking did, and I'm not sure she did, but she sang, "I get a kick out of you, you're the top, anything goes."
Yeah.
She was just great. And it was a great show, and she made it work.
That's a fun one to see because she's having so much fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, those Cole Porter tunes, everybody loves them. I mean, half the audience was humming along.
Yeah. Those are the ones you don't know until they start.
Yeah.
And then I like this song.
Okay. Best supporting female in a musical, who else? Vanessa Ballum for Miss Adeline in Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
But the best supporting male in a musical, Lee Daly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toss up between him in Little Shop and him in Guys and Dolls, but
he kind of took that Little Shop role above and beyond. Okay,
yeah,
I like that.
Best male in a musical, your boy Levi Hopkins.
Oh, and his
for Floyd Collins.
Floyd Collins.
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah.
I've never done stage work at all other than in high school, and
let me entertain you while I lay on my back and sing.
Honestly, cannot imagine. And then you think of all the rehearsing that was done before that. Just doing the performances would have been difficult, but then you weeks of rehearsals before then, and to get it, and to still be an entertaining character too. He doesn't move. For those who haven't seen it, he doesn't move. He has to lay there. I mean, I think he changes positions 3 times. But you don't see that.
In the first act, he before he gets trapped, he's doing that duet with his own voice.
Yeah, the echoes.
And he moves around during that period of time. And then there's a flashback in the middle of the second act where he can get up and move around.
That's right. He and his brother, right?
But other than that, the poor kid's trapped for the entire show until he finally dies.
Yeah, he's pinned under a rock, and he still is a huge part of the show. In fact, he has all the dialogue, most of the dialogue still. And, that was... it deserved best.
Hats off to him, yeah.
We are recapping 2024 here on the For the People Theater Hour, our first show of 2025. So stick around. Much more to come right after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Philwright.
Well, thank you, Jason. Utah officials reacting to the New Orleans terrorist attack that killed 15 people and injured at least 30. The attack happened in the early hours yesterday morning at a New Year celebration just outside the French Quarter of New Orleans. Now, Governor Spencer Cox wrote on social media that it was a terrible reminder of true evil in the world and said he was grateful for law enforcement officers and first responders who raced to the scene. He also asked for everyone to pray for those impacted, while Representative John Curtis also said he was heartbroken by the horrific attack and the innocent lives that were lost. He asked for prayers for the victims, their families, and the entire community as everyone works to ensure safety and justice. Meanwhile, Senator Mike Lee said, quote, "It now seems possible that Americans were targeted by not one but two terror attacks on New Year's Day. Where is Joe Biden?" End of quote. And what exactly is a Sterling Scholar? Well, according to their website, sterlingscholar.org, a Sterling Scholar is a high school senior who is publicly recognized and awarded for the pursuit of excellence in scholarship, leadership, and citizenship in the state. Now, during a recent KVNU For the People show, Logan City School District Superintendent Frank Schofield brought along 3 Sterling Scholar candidates, Samuel Smith, Violet Bateman, and Taylor Laney. Now, Schofield talked about how the program works.
And every year we have students who we recognize at Logan High School as our Sterling Scholar candidates. And these are students who have done outstanding work in a particular area of emphasis, something that they're really passionate about. And we then submit their names and they put together a portfolio that gets submitted to the state, and they engage in the competition there. So it's a great way to celebrate it's just students who are achieving outstanding things academically in the areas of their life that they're pursuing.
Now, the Scholar Program incorporates 14 different categories of different academic endeavors, from arts to math to language arts, etc., according to Schofield. And it's been months since Utah lawmakers met on Capitol Hill, but several new laws passed in the last year are now becoming official. License plates have been one of the most frequently addressed topics in the Utah legislature in recent years, with lawmakers running a series of bills creating specialty license plates and also launching a review board to approve new license plate designs. Now, beginning yesterday, most private vehicle owners will no longer be required to have a front license plate, and the government will no longer issue 2 plates to those who register their vehicles. Meanwhile, commercial vehicles will still be required to display both license plates. Another law also going into effect is the ongoing attempt by the legislature to protect young Utahns online, as Senator Todd Weiler, a Republican from Wood Cross, passed a bill last year that requires manufacturers of smartphones and tablets to enable obscenity filters on devices that are used by children. Now, many devices already exist on and have such filters installed, but most of the time they're not enabled upon purchase. The Children's Device Protection Act allows the Attorney General to sue device manufacturers who are deemed out of compliance with the law. Well, weather-wise, it's been in the high 40s for today. Can you believe it's January? It feels almost like spring as we've enjoyed some sunshine with the clouds. Tomorrow, we're going to be back into the mid to high 40s with a mix of sun and clouds again. Overnight temperatures, by the way, tonight going to be dropping into the mid-20s, and then a chance of some rain and snow coming for Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday as temperatures are going to settle back into the mid to low 30s. I'm Will Fiore with your KVNU News Update.
This is a special report from ABC News New Orleans attack. I'm Dave Packer.
The suspect in New Orleans is believed to have acted.
He was 100% inspired by ISIS. That from FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Rhea today, describing the man who rammed a pickup truck through New Year's revelers early yesterday morning on Bourbon Street, New Orleans, killing 14 people before he was shot dead by police.
The suspect in New Orleans is believed to have acted alone. The FBI said today it's based in part on their reviews of phones, laptops, social media, and interviews with those who knew him. The suspect also uploaded 5 videos to social media before that attack, where he discussed another possible plan. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
As New Orleans mourns some signs of healing, Bourbon Street reopened today. Music again in the air, and the Sugar Bowl, postponed from yesterday, is being played today at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. This is ABC News.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Nelson, board-certified, fellowship-trained orthopedic surgeon, and I want to restore your active, pain-free life. I've been an innovator in the treatment of knee pain caused by arthritis and sports injuries for 27 years. I'm the only surgeon in northern Utah to offer Omnibotics, a robotic-assisted knee replacement for your arthritic knee, which has a 97% patient satisfaction rate. Don't live with your knee pain another day. Visit drkeithnelsonortho.com. That's drkeithnelsonortho.com.
Dr. Nelson accepts most insurances, including select health plans.
From ABC News, Wall Street Now. Wall Street stocks fell in 2025's first day of trading, stretching a 4-day losing streak into the new year. The Dow fell 152 points in Thursday's trading. The S&P 500 was down 13 points, and the Nasdaq dropped 30 points. Tesla shares lost 6.7% after the company revealed vehicle deliveries fell short of expectations in 2024. Apple has agreed to pay $95 million to settle a lawsuit accusing its virtual assistant Siri of recording conversations even when people were not using the app and sharing those recordings with advertisers. 2024's movie ticket sales fell more than 3% from 2023, according to estimates from ComScore, as theaters still try to bounce back to pre-pandemic levels. Data company Serum announced its annual ranking of airline performance, crowning Aeromexico as the world's most on-time airline with nearly 87% of flights on time in 2024. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. Investigators in New Orleans and Las Vegas piece together more clues in deadly attacks on their cities. We'll have the latest. Also, Republicans in control of Washington are planning early wins to advance the Trump agenda. Hear what they plan to prioritize. And questions to ask if you still have your eye on an electric vehicle. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill here in the studio. Our first show of 2025, and we're recapping 2024, Charlie's best of list. And we've still got a lot more to get to, so we'll jump right back in.
Okay. Best male in a comedy. This one's a little wonky, but Sam Tusher in The Toxic Avenger by the USU Opera Theater. I realize
so great.
Toxic Avenger was a musical, but its emphasis was on comedy, and Tusher was so good in that. I mean, the whole business with tearing two people apart on stage. I mean, it's just hilarious.
The way they did that too was very funny.
He's got a nice sense of comic timing that makes his character seem very sincere the whole time that he's doing outrageous things.
Yeah.
And a beautiful tenor voice that ranges effortlessly from falsetto to second tenor. Just
good point.
Just good.
That is, I'm still just happy they did that one. I think.
And Tusher's been in a lot of those opera theater productions recently, and he was also in the version of Something Rotten that.
That's what
Music Theater West did.
Yeah.
And if he ever graduates, he's going to be missed.
Yeah. He's and I think he has a couple of years.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure actually on that. But.
Best female in a comedy. Nobody can touch Leslie Brott for Hay Fever.
Yeah. Again with the comedic timing.
Oh yeah, yeah, she's so good, and well, of course, she's an equity performer, a union card-carrying actress. You expect her to be good, and she is.
Yeah.
Best supporting male in a comedy. I think that's got to go to Clifton Richards and Kyle Cotham in the 39 Steps by the Four Seasons Theater Company out in Smithfield.
Okay.
They pull, in the program they're called Clowns 1 and 2, because you can't describe all the characters they're going to portray.
Yeah.
It's a 4-person show.
But there's like 27 people in the story.
Celeste does, I think, 3 female characters. The main character is a single, only has to perform 1, and everybody else. And this is a parody recreation of a Hitchcock movie. Everybody else is Clowns 1 and 2, and Richards and Kyle Cotham are hysterical.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about changing characters at the drop of a hat. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah. Literally running. And I was curious if they had how they did that behind the scenes, because no one could have stopped moving. But I wondered if back behind the stage they had like a conveyor belt style thing where they just walk through and get new clothes thrown on them.
There was a lot of fast changes there.
Yeah.
Great little show. And an interesting departure for Four Seasons. First time they've done something that wasn't a musical, and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Of course, they were performing in that gigantic auditorium at Skyview High School, and they put the audience on the stage with the actors.
Yeah.
And it was neat. It really was.
That's
because you had to be close enough to be able to see everything that was going on.
Yeah. And like, I wonder how much changed in rehearsal because of that, because you had to be able to see everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if they had people sitting in the seats go, oh, no, that's got to move.
Probably.
That was a fun one. Very cool.
Best supporting female in a comedy, 3-way tie between Marin Robinson in Hay Fever, Ariana Watcott in Hay Fever,
yeah,
and Mia Gaithram in Mrs. Holmes and Mrs. Watson.
Oh, okay.
I've gone all about. I've talked about Marin and Ariana a lot.
Yeah,
but
very talented people.
Mia Gaithram in Holmes and Mrs. Watson. They turn. It's a modern version of a Sherlock Holmes story, and they turn Dr. Watson on his head by having him be an American and a woman.
That's right.
And Mia just chews up the scenery, and she is great.
Yeah.
It isn't often. She tends to have these little, kind of refined roles. In Hay Fever, she's this timid little Bobby Soxer who's terrified of everything.
I'm laughing now, remembering.
But in that USU show, she gets to really blast her voice and everything. She's really good.
Yeah. That I had forgotten about that one. That's a good choice.
And it was a great show.
Yeah.
Again, both Marin and Ariana were also in that show, and they were excellent.
Yeah.
They just happened to be better in Hay Fever.
And Hay Fever is one of those that kind of elevates everybody.
But
it's very cool.
Those 3 girls are dynamite actresses.
It is names to watch.
Yeah, bet.
That's what I would say.
But I doubt seriously they're going to stay around.
Yeah, there's
once they get the diploma, boom, they're gone.
So enjoy them while they're here.
Yeah.
Charlie's Best of 2024. here on KVNU's For the People, our first show of 2025. Stick around. More to come right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. I've got a little suggestion for you this week. Take a moment to visit a classroom somewhere. If it takes going to an open house at a school, a PTA meeting, or simply making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, do it. And while you're there, make it a point to say thank you to as many of the faculty and staff that are supporting the futures of these kids. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
65 Americans a day die by gun suicide. Store your gun securely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammunition. Help stop suicide. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
All right, dads, let's test your knowledge. Ready? What does this sound? Some of the more experienced parents recognize it as the sound a young teenager makes when he's done something he regrets. Listen. Kind of a sad sound, isn't it? But if you recognized it, then you know exactly what to do. Listen, because that's when together you can both figure out how not to make the same mistake again.
This message from The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour, our first show of 2025, recapping the best of 2024 with Charlie Schill here in the studio. Just a few minutes left in the hour, so we'll jump right back in.
Okay, best male in a drama? Who else? Herb Newsom in Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah. I remember we talked about that when they announced it, that was a big get. And,
Well, Herb has kind of found a summer home with the Lyric Repertory Company, and everybody is thrilled.
Yeah. Another person that could be anywhere.
Absolutely. Because he's multi-talented. He can build sets, he can design sets, he can direct, he can do anything. But this was a kind of understated role for Herb. He did those two one-act shows, and then he was in just dynamic, electric in Fences the year before.
Yeah.
And here we are in Driving Miss Daisy, a very understated role, but just perfect. Just perfect.
And having fun with it.
Yeah, well, he gets to perform with the best female in a drama, Leslie Brott. That story is told in episodes from 1948, 1949 to 1973. And it's anchored in history, things that actually happened in the Atlanta area. And Brott plays this Jewish matron who she never really breaks her principles and her stubborn attitudes, but she does gradually bend them with the times, and it's just heartwarming to watch.
Yeah, and also I would think difficult to play.
Again,
a lot of emotion required.
Yeah, but it's controlled emotion.
That's true. Because it's not actually a tearjerker of a story, but it's
that's what I mean when it doesn't beat you over the head with the message.
Yeah.
It's there if you want to see it, and it's there if you want to ignore it. But it's a great show.
That's what
the first of a trilogy that Uri did about.
That's right.
Jews in the South.
I forgot that was a trilogy.
And while we're on the subject, the best supporting male role in a drama, Lance Rasmussen playing Booley,
Oh, really?
Daisy's son in Driving Miss Daisy by the lyric rep. Again, just well done. Very. Bully is in the awkward position of being a referee between Daisy and Hoke, her driver, and
two very strong-willed people.
Ooh, yeah.
To say the least.
Yes.
That is, man, what a year.
Yeah.
That was a big year with sort of a, not that other years haven't been, but really, really eclectic year as far as the productions that were done.
The Utah Festival Opera sort of turned their back on their own legacy. I mean, they only did one opera, but if you want to think about it, Cats could be considered an opera.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
They did Johnny Sketchy and Bucci's Ghost. They did Cats. Anything Goes. Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Lots of different shows.
That's it. And it worked really well for them, I think. They have, obviously they never have a problem selling tickets, but this was a really talked about season.
Yeah.
And hopefully not the season they go out on, as with them taking a bit of a break next year.
This year.
Or this year, yeah, that's right. Sorry, we're in 2025. But it goes to show you what Utah Festival Opera offers. And why, if we can do anything to keep them doing this every summer, we need to. Charlie, thank you. That was quite a list and fun to walk down memory lane.
Yeah.
Charlie will be back with us next Thursday, and we're just days away from the holiday lull ending, so we'll have plenty